1980, China's GDP was $300 billion. Today, China's GDP is $11 trillion. That is using the old formula. If you use purchasing power parity, I am sorry to say that China is already the world's largest economy. It is number 2 now using the old formula. But if you use PPP, China is the world's largest economy. So, what are we going to do regarding the 85 million jobs? Nigeria has 20.9 million unemployed young people. With an infusion of 25 million jobs from China's relocation strategy, wouldn't that wipe out unemployment in Nigeria? Completely. We really must look at China seriously and figure out how we can take advantage of this relocation. In 2011, China produced more cement than the United States used in the entire 20th century. In 2011, a Chinese firm built a 30-story building. This building is 23 floors, so higher than this. A 30-story building in 15 days. In 2014, a different firm topped that. They built a 57-story skyscraper in 19 days. China has built the entire equivalent of Europe's entire housing stock in just 15 years. So if you calculate all the houses in Europe, put it together, China has built that in 15 years. China's high-speed rail can stretch from Cape Town to Cairo and back twice and still have mileage left over. What I'm saying basically is that we must have a China strategy. So let's look at Nigeria, because this is what brings my presentation home. How do we position? First of all, let's look at a few opportunities. We know we have about 20 million housing units that are needed urgently. 20 million. We have about 5 million bed spaces required for student housing alone in Nigeria. 5 million. Nobody is focused on this marketplace. Over 2 million Nigerian businesses need to be integrated into digital economy. 2 million businesses need to be integrated into the digital economy. Over 10,000 cinema screens need to be built in Nigeria. Nigeria has the capacity to host 10,000 cinema screens. Right now, there are less than 500. Music sharing technology. All the music that our young people listen to, they're using international platforms to adopt and to listen. We have over 120 million young people. We're the youngest, one of the youngest populations in Africa, and subsequently the world. And looking at the agricultural industry, Nigeria is the world's largest producer of cassava. Now, from the cassava, which I put here in red, we do about 54 million metric tons. We're number 1. If we sold it, we're not selling cassava internationally. If we sold it unprocessed, we could earn $3 billion. But if we processed it into ethanol or starch, do you know that the entire pharmaceutical industry, the whole world, depends on starch? The white drugs that you take, that's starch. that starch, the causative agent is added to the starch. So the entire pharmaceutical industry depends on starch. We are the largest producer of cassava. Cassava is the greatest product to provide you with starch, but we're not processing. So the calculations we did show that processing of cassava alone would give us $20 billion. $20 billion. How much did we earn from oil last year? So just cassava alone. Cashew, we're the second largest producer of cashew in the world. $700 million is earned from cashew. That one we're selling it. But we're selling it as unprocessed. Cashew has a 10 times value between the processed and unprocessed. If you process cashew in Nigeria, you would earn $7 billion. But most of the processing is being done in Vietnam. So if you go into an American shop and buy platters, you will see on the casing that the origin of this cashew is Nigeria, but it's not processed in Nigeria. And then our final and most important export. What is our most important export? It's not oil. It's our people. Our people. Nigeria is exporting, for lack of a better word, 1 million people every year. 1 million Nigerians are migrating to the international community every year. In 2017, during the height of our depression or recession, 1.3 million people migrated from Nigeria. We are some of the best doctors in the United States, in Saudi Arabia, in the UK, are Nigerians. Even in South Africa, that is doing this xenophobia, most of their best doctors are Nigerians. Now, I talked about the fact that these people are sending money home already, but collectively, there are 15 million of them. They have an earning capacity of $250 billion. So, as a virtual country, the Nigerian diaspora, if you consider them to be a virtual country, they are almost more than half Nigeria's GDP. So in 10 years, if the 1 million figure of migration continues, in 10 years, this 250 billion will double. It means that every business, every state government, and the federal government must have a Nigeria in diaspora strategy. We must figure out how we can get access to that market space. And there are ways to do it. So in conclusion, I want to talk about the sign of the times, the fourth industrial revolution. And I just put up two or three slides to show you that. Now, this was a study I did based on 1996, where you have the largest corporations in the world based on market values, market capitalization. GE came first with $220 billion, followed by Shell with $191 billion, and then you go down, you see ExxonMobil, and so on. You can see that the top ones are oil and gas companies or manufacturing companies. This was in 1996. But you fast forward to 2018, you can see that the game has changed. The number one most valuable company in the world today is Apple, with over $1 trillion in market valuation, followed by Amazon, followed by Microsoft, followed by Alphabet. What is it about these companies? What industry do you see reoccurring? Technology. So Apple is in what? Apple is in what industry? Technology. Amazon is what? Microsoft is what? Alphabet is what? It's only Berkshire Hathaway that breaks the chain. But it goes back to Facebook. What is Facebook in? What is Alibaba in? What is Tencent in? What does that tell you? It tells you that we're backing up the wrong tree in Nigeria. there's a problem. And just to bring the matter home, in terms of technology, I wanted to give you some hard facts. This is the Kiwi robot. This is a robot that is used in Amazon's warehouses. Amazon recently deployed about 55,000 Kiwi robots. They are completely automating their warehouses. Driverless deliveries are going to put 2.5 million people out of work in the next few years. Transformation from a digital economy is real. So we're moving from industrial to digital. Automated robots are now taking orders in McDonald's. I've actually experienced it myself. So we need to look at technology. 5.4 million robots were sold in 2015. By 2016, that figure doubled in 1 year to over 10 million robots. And a robot, manufacturing robot, costs just about $40,000. In China, the Ford factory utilizes 2,500 workers and 650 robots. So robots are now working alongside human beings. Then in terms of artificial intelligence, that one is huge. Again, I studied what China is doing. China has committed $150 billion to develop a domestic leading AI industry by 2030. Shenzhen, which is a province in China, gives a $1 million grant for anybody who sets up an artificial intelligence laboratory. So, again, these great things are happening. So I've talked about the need to have a China strategy, the need to have a diaspora strategy, and now I'm talking about the need to have a technology strategy. So where do we go from here? We hope that your next step will be to ask us to help you. So we have a few programs which we want to let you know. Number one is that we have a masterclass series. It's very affordable, it's online. I think each class is about $10 or $15, so it's very, very cheap. That series is for those who want to, you can't afford to employ us to support you, but you want to get the most up-to-date knowledge and information that is out there. You go to masterclassseries.us. Okay, masterclassseries.us. So we can help you with that. We've actually set up what we call a 13-week study course for this and other areas, which you can gain from that particular site. Then we have the Speak Like a Champion retreat. That is for those who want to speak effectively. But most importantly, we have the Global Strategy Capital Sessions, which we're doing today. We're going to be doing this across Nigeria and across Africa. And then in January, we're going to be touring the United States as well, because our goal is to create that link and to create the partnerships. So Global Capital Strategy Sessions we'll host in Abuja, we're hosting in Port Harcourt, we're hosting in Accra, we're hosting in Maputo, we're going to do something in Johannesburg, but we're beginning to reconsider. We're reconsidering our commitment to South Africa at this time, you know. But we're going to be going around the continent, and in the first quarter of next year, we're going to be touring the United States. Then there's the Global Capital Retreat and Roadshow. Oh, sorry, the conference call. So those of you who want to be on top of it, we're going to be hosting a monthly conference call. We're starting in November. This monthly conference call will be for executives, entrepreneurs, people in the finance industry, CFOs, anybody who wants to get what is the latest going on as far as finance and capital markets, and how do I tap into the global capital initiatives. We're going to be hosting a conference call with speakers from across the world every single month. We're starting that in November. And then the Global Capital Retreat and Roadshow, we're launching that in September. We're going, in fact, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be in the United States to meet with both the private folks and the officials of government who are preparing and supporting business with Africa. And then finally, we have the E1000, the Entrepreneurship 1000 initiative, where we are designing an exclusive group of entrepreneurs who we want to help to build companies to a $1 billion valuation in 10 years. And this is going to give them access to capital, access to technology, access to markets, access to tools, and access to skills. And the categorization is very simple. First is the accreditation stage, which is an assessment and accreditation. And second is the engagement stage. And then third is the aggregation, which is when you actually get the capital. So we've divided that into 3 stages in order to support you. And I remember, I think it was Richard Branson who said that if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And so our dreams are very big. We expect to support entrepreneurs to build billion-dollar valuations. We are building a new generation of African unicorns. And so my message to you is to think big. And I always end all my presentations with this poem. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you like to win, but you think you can't, it is almost certain you won't. If you think you lose, you have lost. For out of the world we find success begins with a man's will. It is always a state of mind. If you think you are outclassed, you are. You have got to think high to rise. Ladies and gentlemen, you've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's victories don't always go to the stronger or faster or smarter man. But sooner or later, the man who wins is the man who thinks he can. Thank you very much.